Hey guys, this is Miss Garner, and this video will be going over how to find the slope of a line. So the slope is just talking about the direction and the steepness of a line on a grid. So the variable that we use is going to be m. So m is going to equal our slope, and what you need to remember is that the easy to remember rise over run. So the rise is, think of that as vertical, right? How much is it going up or down? And run is going to be sideways. How much are you going side to side? So this is the same thing as saying change in y over change in x. A positive slope is a line that's going uphill. So just like you would read a book from left to right, if your slope is going up the page, it's a positive slope. And if it's going down the page, we will call it downhill. That's a negative slope. So after seeing some examples, this will become a lot more clear. So here's our first example here. The first thing I want to notice is it is going up the page. So if we start on the left-hand side, it's going up the page. So my slope is going to be a positive. Okay, so it's going uphill, so it's a positive slope. The next thing I want to do is pick any 2 points. It does not matter which points I pick. I just want any of those 2 points, and I want to connect them with a triangle. So I want to go along the grid of my graph here and go straight up and down and then straight sideways. So for instance, if I use this point and this point, I'm going to start at the first one. I'm going to go straight up and then straight sideways. So you can see that red line there, it connects and it makes that triangle. So now we can just look at those 2 lengths. My rise is how much it's going up and down. So that is 2 boxes. My run is 1 box, how much it's going sideways. So remember, slope is equal to rise over run. So in this case, m, which is what our variable for slope is equal to 2 over 1. Remember, 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So this line has a slope of 2. Here's our second example. The first thing I want to notice is it's going down the page, right? If you start on the left-hand side, notice that it's going down the page. That's downhill. So I'm already going to say that my slope is negative. I'm going to put a little negative there just to hold my spot so I don't forget. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick 2 points. I'll pick this point and this point. And once again, I'm going to draw that box. So it doesn't matter if I go like that, or notice that you can also do it this way, right? You can first go down and then go sideways. So notice that that green triangle above the line and the purple triangle below the line are going to give you the same answer. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one. We'll just look at the green one. So once again, we're going to say, what is the rise? So how much is it changing vertically? So up and down. I see it's 1, 2, 3 boxes. And then how much does it run? So how much does it go sideways? 1 box. So our slope, we already said it's negative, is 3 over 1, which remember 3 divided by 1 is just 3. So our slope here is negative 3. For every 3 boxes it goes down, it's going to go over 1 box. Here's our third example. Once again, let's start by looking at whether it's positive or negative. So if we start on the left-hand side, just like we're reading a book, notice that as I go along the line, it's going up the page, so it's going to be positive. Next is I'm going to pick 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and pick this point here and this point there. I'm going to draw that triangle. So I'm going to go along the boxes of my coordinate grid, and there's my triangle. And now I'm going to go ahead and count those units. So rise over run, it rises 1 box, and it runs 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. So my slope, m, is going to equal 1 over 4. And there's no way to simplify that. 1/4. So notice that when your slope is a smaller number, a fraction, for example, your line is not as steep. So the lower your slope is, the more gentle, the shallower the line is. Versus if we look at our last one, where our slope was 3, notice how steep that is. Okay, so the bigger the number, the steeper the line. Here's another example here. Once again, if we look at our line going from left to right, it's going up the hill. So that's a positive slope. I'm going to go ahead and pick these 2 points right here. This time I'm going to do the triangle below the line, right? Because it doesn't matter which way I do it. And I'm going to count my rise and my run. So my rise is how much it's going up and down, is 3 boxes. My run, which is how much it's going sideways, is 2 boxes. So we already said it's positive, so m is going to equal 3 over 2. Once again, there's no way to simplify that. So your slope is 3/2. All right. We look at this line. Here's our next example. Going from left to right, this one is going down the page. Notice it's going downhill. So I'm going to go ahead and start by saying this is negative. I'm going to put a negative over here just so I don't forget. I'm going to go ahead and let's pick the top 2 points here. I'm going to draw that triangle. So going straight down and then straight sideways. And I'm going to count those boxes. So my rise, okay, so how much is going up and down is 2 boxes. The run, which is how much you're going sideways, is 1 box. So rise over run, I get 2 over 1. Well, 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So this is a slope of -2. So if you look at this example in the first one we did, notice they have the same slope, they're just going different directions. So that same slope means they have the same steepness. Here's +2, and here's -2. They have the exact same slope, except one is positive and one is negative. All right, and now for this question, we want to figure out which line has the greater slope. So remember, this is when I was talking about how if the slope is greater, it's going to be steeper. The bigger the number your slope is, the steeper that line is. So if we're looking for the greater slope, it doesn't matter whether it's going up or down, we're just looking for the steepest line. So if you had to pick which hill you didn't want to climb up, that's going to be the one with the greater slope. So in this case, that's the red line. So notice the red line is going more vertical. It's going steeper up and down than the blue. So this one is going to be the red line. So we're going to say the red line is steeper, meaning it has a greater slope than the blue line. Okay. Number 8, once again, which line has the greater slope? So remember, it doesn't matter if it's going uphill or downhill, just which one is steeper. The red line is actually pretty gentle, pretty shallow there. The blue one is pretty steep. So even though it is negative, it's going downhill, it is a steeper line. Okay, so even though the blue line has a negative slope, it is steeper, so it has a greater slope. And then the last slide is we're trying to put these cards into 2 categories, positive slope versus negative slope. So you are quickly just looking at, are they going up the page or down the page? So starting from left to right, so I'm going to go ahead and put negative over here on the left, positive staying over here on the right. So this first one here, notice from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it's going down. So that should be negative. This one right here, notice from the left-hand side, it's going up the page. So that is positive. We'll look at this graph here that I just drew. So left to right, it's going down, so negative. Same thing with this one, it's going down the page, negative slope. This one, from left to right, is going up the page, that's a positive slope. This one, it's the same thing, it's going up the page. This one's up the page, so that's positive slope. And then this last one, from left to right, it's going downhill. It's going down, so that is a negative slope. So always remember, it's just like you're reading a book. Start on the left-hand side of your graph. If it's going down the page, it's a negative slope. We call that downhill. If it's starting on the left, but it's going up the page, we call that positive or uphill.